Welcome to Pores and Pros. This is a booktube channel ran by a mom who is sweaty and a hot mess because I just came from the gym. But honestly, this is my one chance that I have to film. I will say this summer is going to be a little bit different in terms of schedules. I normally was posting videos on Tuesday, felt great about it, but my son is not in school after today. And so I normally record on Mondays, and I probably still will, but turning it around and editing and stuff, and I didn't get a chance to record yesterday. Anyways, you guys didn't sign up to listen to this, but it's a little bit hectic and chaotic. My pour today is just water. Like I said, I came from the gym. Last thing you need to be drinking is coffee because that will dehydrate you. So there you go. Okay, today's video is gonna be such a fun time. I'm so excited about this video. It's one that I have debated when I'm going to film it, but I've decided this is the time. This is the time. So today we're going to talk about the genre of romance. I kind of want to really deep dive some books that I absolutely love. So today we're going to talk about 4 books that I love in the romance genre, and then 4 books that are on my TBR that I want to read that are in the romance genre. One, romance is kind of a subgenre, but we'll get to it. But apparently it's still a pretty big main plot line. Okay, let's very quickly talk about romance as a whole, why I love romance, why I'm intrigued by romance, and what I think is very interesting about romance. Okay, so here is what kind of, for lack of a better term, led me into the romance genre and maybe become a fan of romance reading. So I really low-key judged people that read romance. I thought it was a silly genre, but I didn't judge them for reading necessarily. People read what they want to read, but in my mind I'm going, why would you read this? You know what's gonna happen. But I put those judgments aside. I had a friend recommend to me an author, we'll talk about her in a minute, and I read one of her books and thought, oh my gosh, this is great. Why didn't I read books like this before? This is such a breath of fresh air for me. And also very quickly realized I had not been exposed to certain things in books like spice levels. Just homeschooled child, was very monitored by what she read as a kid and had not seen any of that. So as an adult, I was going, oh man, is this good? Is this bad? What do I think of this? As somebody that is a Christian reading, how do I deal with this? Is this okay? Is this bad? Is this good? Does this help me in my marriage? I would argue somewhat yes, but I still just had to be really mindful of what I was reading and just putting into my brain. I'll just say that. But either way, I am now a romance reader and I enjoy it. I am picky a little bit about the spiciness of a book. I am a little picky about the tropes that a romance book has, but we'll maybe do a whole other video about tropes that I love, tropes that I hate, and kind of get into that, but we won't talk about it today. So I want to first talk about 4 books that I would recommend somebody read if they've never read the romance genre before. If you are wanting a book that has romance in it, but you're like, ugh, I'm not sure about it, I'm going to recommend to you 2 1-pepper spice level books, and then 2 that kind of bridge into the 3-pepper realm. I will tell you, the pepper spice level is kind of subjective to some readers, but I go based off of romance.ai. You can look that up online, but 1-pepper is there's kissing and flirting, but nothing else. 2-peppers usually have one open door scene, which means you as a reader are kind of peeking in, but usually it's a closed door romance scene. I don't want to use certain words on this because I don't want this to get pushed out of the booktube realm, but you know what I'm saying. 3-pepper, we're starting to see a little romantic moments, sessions, times, but it's not much. It's usually 1 to 2 scenes, and to be honest, I'll watch the build up, but then I'll flip to the next part. But I don't mind 3 peppers. 4 to 5 peppers, the spice level is becoming way more of a subplot or big plot of the book, and just not a fan. I have read 1 4-pepper book and just couldn't do it. Didn't like it. So let's talk about the 2 books that I'm going to recommend to you that are one pepper spice and I think are so good. First one is the Rom-Commers by Katherine. This is actually the only book I have read by Katherine, but I will tell you I'm going to read more books by her. I feel like she does such a great job of flirtatiousness. She does such a great job of mirroring and understanding what consent is in a relationship and showing true boundaries. And I think more teenagers, more women, even if you are not a Christian, if you are a Christian, I think you should be seeing this because there's not models of that, just from my own experience in life. And so I think this book does a really great job of that. What I liked about this book, so it actually has a trope that I'm not a huge fan of. I am personally not a huge fan of the billionaire plot line. There's another book that I might bring up that was kind of a turnoff for me of going, oh, do I like rich men sweeping up women? I don't know how I feel about this. This book has that trope, but I have to say it's not super crazy. So let me kind of give you the plot line. So the 2 main characters, Emma Wheeler and Charlie Yates. I can't remember their names. Emma Wheeler is an aspiring screenwriter. She wants to be a movie screenwriter one day and gets an opportunity to because Charlie Yates is a huge bestseller screenwriter, actor. He's huge in the movie realm, you guys, and he's won Oscars, been Oscar nominated, has a lot of money, and he wrote a romance movie and it really stunk. And so one of Emma's friends, who's kind of got his toes into the Hollywood scene, was like, hey, I have a friend, she's an amazing writer, you should have her. Little does Charlie know that Emma doesn't have any Hollywoodness to her name. But they get set up, they have to work together in Charlie's house, and they fall hard for each other. But you also find in this book that Emma is dealing with some really, really hard family things, loss and grief. Her dad has very, very significant health issues, and Emma is typically the one that is taking care of her dad. And so to kind of see her navigate that throughout this book is really good. I am somebody that likes romance books where it's not just about the relationship, there's other aspects, and that's what really got me into romance, honestly. And so Rom-Commers by Katherine is a great one. If you're wanting one and you want to try to read a book that doesn't have a lot of spice, this is a great option for you. Okay. Next up is Lakeshire Park. This is by Megan Walker. I'm just gonna read the back of this because it's been a while since I've read this. Amelia Moore wants only one thing: to secure the future happiness of her younger sister, Clara. With their stepfather's looming death, the 2 sisters will soon be on their own without family, a home, or a penny to their names. When an invitation arrives to join a house party at Lakeshire Park, Amelia grasps at the chance. If she can encourage a match between Clara and their host, Sir Ronald, then at least her sister will be taken care of. Little does she know that another guest, the arrogant and overconfident Mr. Peter Wood, is after the same goal for his own sister. Amelia and Peter begin a rivalry that Amelia has no choice but to win, but competing against Peter and eventually playing by his rules makes Amelia vulnerable to losing the only thing that she has left to claim, her heart. If you are a Pride and Prejudice fan, if you are a Pride and Prejudice fan, if you love Jane Austen, Emma is by her. If you like Jane Austen books, you will really like this one. This is kind of the genre of British Regency romance. I have kind of read a few of them, mostly Jane Austen books, but I haven't found other authors that I like. There is one author that I do enjoy. Her name's Mimi Matthews. I will also post photos of her books. I still have the 4th book in that series to read, but I actually like British Regency romance if it's done well, and I think this author does it really well. And what's also great about this is like zero pepper spice level, but the dates or hangouts, you'll have to like read the book to see. Amelia and Peter basically like get it set up to hang out with each other a lot, and it is just so clever the way that Megan Walker like gets them to hang out and then realize, oh, we actually have feelings for each other, we're actually into each other. And I was into just some of the really cute date ideas you can get from this book for your own personal relationships, but I really, really enjoyed this book a lot. This would be a great book even to read in an English class, I think, or if you have a teenage daughter, like this is just like gold. So I loved this book. Lakeshire Park by Megan Walker. This is another great one if you've never read romance and you want to kind of dip your toes into it. This would be a fun one. Okay, so now we're kind of getting into the first, I think 2 books, or kind of the beginning of my romance genre as a whole. And I had to include them in the stack of books that I have read because I just loved them and highly recommend them to literally anyone that likes romance or wants to get into romance. I tell them about these next 2 books. So this first one, I read this book on an airplane coming back from Germany. It's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Just stop what you're doing. If you want a book for this summer to read, this is your book, and this author is your gal. What I like about Abby Jimenez is she is not an author that is going to swing with the tide in any way. She's gonna do what she wants to do in her books. I really like that about her and respect that about her. I also love that she's an author that kind of includes some spice in some of her series, but now has kind of been saying, hey, like, that's just not my thing. I'm not good at writing it, so I'm gonna kind of write my own thing. And by the way, is doing very, like, successful at that. So I like that about her, but this one is so good. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. And again, I read it on one plane flight, 8 hours, and just couldn't put it down. This book is about 2 main characters. Emma, funny enough, is the female. I guess I like books with Emma as the main character. And then we have Justin, and Justin kind of puts out into the Reddit world that he is not the catch for women. He can barely make it through date number 3 and then gets ghosted by the girl that he's trying to get together with. He can't hold on to a girlfriend, and Emma has the same problem. And she comments on his Reddit post and goes, hey, I have this same issue. Maybe we should go out on a couple dates and kill this curse that we apparently have, and then everything will be fixed for us. But they start to develop feelings for each other, and this book, there are some pieces in it that my heart was healed by just in growing up. And there's nothing wrong with growing up in the homeschool conservative world, but just seeing a woman be so confident and so unafraid to just share with a man how she's feeling, but also let a man take care of her and have a man that will take care of her. Like, I thought that was so good. But I also just thought this book was funny. I thought this book was so tenderhearted, and there are some really serious things that Emma has to deal with in this book. And Justin, and the conflict in this book, I think, was so believable. Some romance books I've read, I'm not saying it's like necessarily a bad thing, but you want the conflict to feel like it could be a legitimate thing. And this one, and I feel like Abby Jimenez does a great job of making the conflict be so believable and true to the characters that even, I'll be honest, this book, I really didn't know if they would end up at the end together. I thought, oh, there might be a cliffhanger, and there wasn't, but I felt like she really handled some of the just issues with both the characters with such grace and beauty. This book is actually a part of a trilogy. What's nice about romance series, romance trilogies, you do not have to read them in order, and I certainly didn't. I read this book first and then kind of went back and read Part of Your World and Yours Truly. I love Yours Truly. It's on my shelf. Part of Your World, I'm not like necessarily feeling like I need to purchase that one. It's not bad. Some people love Part of Your World. It's their favorite one, but it wasn't my favorite of all of them. Just for the Summer is definitely my favorite. And Yours Truly deals with a main male character that has anxiety, and the way Abby wrote that was so brilliant. So I like this author. I know some people don't care for this author, or she's not their favorite, but I really enjoy her. I feel like she's true to what she does, and she's a great author if you are trying to find a book to get you into romance. And this is a great one for the summer, and it ends really beautifully, and I love it so much. And the cover, like, let's just like take a moment for this. I think it's so pretty, and it just screams summertime to me. So that's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I really want to read The Night We Met by her. I'm scared to read The Night We Met, but I do want to read that one by her, and I can't not include that in this video and say that's on my TBR. Okay, we have 1 book left, and then the next 4 books are romance books that I want to read, and I thought that would be fun to kind of share with you kind of where I'm at in the genre, but also what books I have in store for me. Okay, this was probably in the realm of the beginnings of romance. It was after I finished Just for the Summer, I had heard about the author Emily Henry. This author I would highly encourage, highly suggest if you've never read romance. She just does it like so well. And I read Happy Place first. Now let me tell you about Happy Place. Some people on the internet, on the Reddits, on the Bookstagram and Booktubes, this book is their least favorite of Emily Henry books. And can I just say, I so far really disagree with them. I've only read 2 Emily Henry books, so that doesn't give much to the stake in the game. But this book has a trope in it, and it's second chance romance. And I actually thought Emily Henry did such a beautiful job in this book. So you have your 2 main characters, Harriet and Wynne, and they've been together for a long time. They're the couple that just all of their friends look at and go, they're going to like get married, have babies, all of the things. And yet this couple breaks up. And you know that at the beginning of the book, that's not spoiling anything, and they're broken up, but their friends don't know that they're broken up. And every summer they meet in New England at a lake house, or I think it's a lake house, but at a cottage, a house, and they all get together and all the couples are there, and they just don't have the heart to tell their friends they've broken up. So they're gonna play off like they're still together, even though they are not. Like, it's forced proximity, but then through that trip, they begin to kind of unfold like what happened and talk about it. And the reason why they broke up is pretty intense and pretty crazy. And it just goes to show that sometimes in life, in relationships, some people need to take a break. Some people need to realize that who they're losing is actually their person for X, Y, and Z. And I felt like this book did such a good job of it. It is a little spicy. There's like 2 scenes I had to skip through, but it's so good. And like legitimately this book, and just for the summer, like if somebody's like, I want to get into romance, those are the 2 books that I like hands down go, you need to read these. So that's Happy Place. This is my 4th book that I would recommend if you're wanting to read romance. It's a good time and I love it so much. And to be honest, I might reread it again this summer. Also, a moment for the cover, like it's just, it's beautiful. It's just giving everything magical about summer. Okay, so those are the 4 books that I would recommend to somebody if they're wanting to get in the romance category. They're books that I have read, they're books I own, they're books on my bookshelf that I 100% can tell you should read these books. So now moving on to the 4 books that I have on my TBR to read, that I need to read, and I'm planning on reading this summer and kind of sprinkling it in. I have a lot of fantasy books that I want to read, but I like romance because sometimes your brain just needs a break and you need to read something that's cute and sweet and precious. And so these are the books for me. So I'm actually going to start with this one because I'm going to read it like really soon. This is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I'm going to very quickly read the synopsis. Nora Stevens' life is books. She reads them all, and she is not that type of heroine. Not the plucky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent, and her beloved sister, Libby. Which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August, when Libby begs her for a sister's trip. With visions of a small-town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine in her own story. But instead of picnics and meadows or run-ins with a handsome country doctor or bulging four-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute if not for the fact that they've met many times and it's never been cute. Anyways, I like kind of knew the premise of this, but reading like the back of the book premise, yeah, I'm so excited to read this one. This is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This will be my 3rd Emily Henry book, and in the lineup, I'm really curious where this one's gonna land. Happy Place is my favorite. Beach Read was okay. Unpopular opinion, but Beach Read's not one of my favorite Emily Henry books. There is a piece in that book I was not expecting, and it's not bad, but it was a little rough for me with my past. Anywho, Book Lovers, I'm really excited to read it. I think Emily Henry knows how to create a place for these characters, a setting. I think that's why Happy Place for me anyways landed, because I've been to New England and just every scene she depicted, you could just picture yourself there. So I'm really excited about this one. I think this one's really cute. I'm gonna show off the cover a little bit. It's a fun time, and yeah, Book Lovers. I'm gonna read this in the next week or 2, so I thought I would start with that one. Okay, next one that I thought I would have read by now, but I haven't. And not because I don't want to, it's just because I really haven't had a chance to with all of these books that are going to come out by Sarah J. Maas and Penn Cole. But that's another video for another time. This is In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. This is actually the fourth and final book in a series, a quartet series, I guess, but Sarah Adams is a romance author I really like. She's one though that is getting more spicier, and sometimes it feels a little bit forced, and that might be why I'm just don't know how I'm gonna feel about this one. But this one is about the fourth and final sibling, Madison. What I loved about this book series is it kind of goes through and highlights siblings that are in the same family and what they go through, and I loved all of the other books. So I'm really excited to read this one. It's very much screaming springtime because it's got like all of the pretty flowers in it. And I've talked about this book a little bit before in a book haul, but I have yet to read it, and I definitely want to. I probably will read this one in June. That's the plan. But I'm excited about it, and I think it'll be a fun way to kind of tie up the loose strings, read about Madison because it's her story in this one. And she's one of the siblings that is so interesting to me, and reading about her in the other books and getting like little snippet chunks, I'm very curious what Sarah Adams is going to do with her. So that's In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. Okay, next up we have a classic. I don't know if I have read this book before, which is really sad. This is Emma by Jane Austen. By the way, I want to get all of her books in the Penguins Classics Deluxe Edition, and I want to read other books by Jane Austen. I have read Pride and Prejudice. I think I read like a shortened kids version of Emma. I have not read Sense and Sensibility, and I haven't read her other ones. I think it's Northanger Abbey and West. Anyways, I'll post them right what the titles are, but I love Jane Austen. She is a classic author for a reason. She is the one that opened up the door, I think, for Regency romance specifically, but also just to write beautiful characters, beautiful stories, the predicaments they get themselves into. It's just so fun and so nostalgic. This book I'm probably going to read in July, which is my birthday month, but I just love this book. If you've never read this before, it's about a character named Emma, and it thinks that she is so great at matchmaking, but you find out in the book she's not great at that. And she also may find a love interest herself in the process of trying to set people up, and it's a fun time. So Emma by Jane Austen, I can't wait to read this one, and it's just classics sometimes just hit. They just hit in a different way. Okay, we're doing good on time. Last and final book, and then I'm gonna go get cleaned up because I'm obviously gross in this video. But guys, I think I'm not the person for you that's gonna just get herself all cutesy. Maybe one day, and some videos I do, but today's just not one of those days. Okay, so we have The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridgette Knightley. This book is technically romantasy, but apparently it's super heavy on the romance aspect of the book. I've heard this kind of has like a mystery / cozy fantasy piece to it. I'm really excited about it. It is very much a slow burn romance from what I've heard, and I'm gonna read the inside cover for you, the synopsis also. Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay. When Osric Mordaunt, member of the Fire and Order of Assassins, falls ill, he realizes he needs the expertise of a very specific healer. As fate would have it, that healer belongs to an enemy faction, the Halen Order. Arian Ferrum and her fellow Halen are inundated by sick children suffering from an outbreak of a previously long forgotten pox. Unable to get the funding needed to launch an immunization program, the Halen Order is desperate for money, so desperate that when Osric breaks into their headquarters to bribe Orion to heal him, she is forced to accept. As Osric and Orion work together to solve not only his illness, but the mysterious recurrence of the pox, they find themselves ardently denying their attraction, which only fuels the tension between them. So apparently this is a book in a duology, so there is a second book out, which I've heard is just spectacular. I was at one of my favorite fantasy bookstores, and I was kind of going between this one and Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, and I'll be honest, the bookstore person sold me on this one. She said it's not quite as high stakes. She's like, there is a world, you do have to learn it, but she's like, but the slow burn romance, she's like, it's a fun time. And I just was like, you know, I'm kind of in the mood for that. Apparently it's very cheeky, very funny, has like just some interesting banter, and I love that. And I think you can find that in romance books especially. But there are some romantasy books, and when the romance is heavier or a higher subplot in the book, I would consider this in my romance category just because I know there's going to be a lot of tension between the female main character. I also love this because this was a fan fiction for Hermione, which I've never read a Hermione fanfic. Maybe I need to do that, but this one was one of them, and it just blew up on the fan fiction world, and she got a publishing deal for it. So I think that's really cool, and I just like, this just looks so fun. I probably will read this the beginning of the school year. It might be September, y'all, until I read this, because this is giving me like fall vibes, but maybe not. Maybe it's working for me. I don't know, but I had to include this in the list. So we have that book. We have Emma by Jane Austen. We have In Your Dreams, Book Lovers, Happy Place, Just for the Summer, Lakeshire Park, and the Rom-Commers by Katherine Center. So I just gave you 8 huge stacks of books to read this summer because, you know, I think romance is such a fun genre. I've said this before at the beginning of the video, but I think you need to give it a chance. And I gave you some great options, books that I have read, books that I haven't read. And I think you would really enjoy this genre. So give it a try. Put down in the comments below if you have read romance, if you have recommendations for me, books that you think that I would enjoy based on the books I've talked about today. And stay tuned for the next video. Cheers, make sure to hydrate, drink your water. It's important. Some days, water over coffee. I need to tell myself a lot these days. Okay, we will see you next time. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. I would love to have you follow along on this reading journey. It's been a really fun time making these videos, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Bye.